All right, good afternoon.
Good
Uh,
afternoon.
can you please tell the audience your name and where you're from?
Yes, my name is Clifton Spears, principal of Cedar Grove High School in Ellenwood, Georgia.
All right, and what's your ethnicity?
African American.
All right, and what are your values and beliefs?
So I believe, as a high school principal, that all students can learn. That we just have to push them to a certain level. We cannot lower the bar for them. We must maintain a high value, a high bar for them to reach and attain.
All right, and so that's your beliefs as far as being a principal. But what are your beliefs in like life, and who is your higher power, things like that?
Well, I believe in God, and I believe in family. God first, and then family. Been married for 34 years, and two beautiful children from that marital relationship. And so I believe that God does exist, and that He is the center of everything that I do.
Okay, and with those beliefs, did that come from your background and family background?
Was raised in the church, and I have tried to be continuous in the church and raise my children in the church as well.
Okay. Now let's move on to your professional background, field of experience, and your role as a leader.
So I started off in education in 1987. I taught for several years, Penn State University, and then high school in Virginia. Moved to Georgia, stepped away from education and did restaurant management for about 13 years, from kitchen manager to front end manager to assistant general manager to general manager. And then decided to get back in education. And once I got back into education, started off as a para to get my certification, and then teacher, department chair, administrative assistant, assistant principal, and now principal for the last 5 years.
Wow. So you definitely put the work in and started at the bottom level and moved all the way up. How does that make you feel?
I think about it quite often. It's just, and I try to show my employees that someone saw something in me. They saw some leadership, my capabilities. And so I do the same thing when I see individuals in the building and I know that they have some leadership capabilities. I put them to work and I push them out of their comfort zone into the leadership. I've always try to be the best that I can be at anything I've done. And I always reach for the stars. So, I've never settled with just being one thing. So when I was a kitchen manager, I wanted to, I didn't settle for just being a kitchen manager. I wanted to be a front end manager. And I didn't want to just settle for being a front end manager. I wanted to reach goals as being a general manager. So same thing with education, I didn't want to just be an assistant principal. I wanted to be the principal.
Okay. Well, I see you definitely have reached goals, and I'm pretty sure you have more goals to get even higher. So, what school district and school do you work for?
DeKalb County Schools in Georgia, and the school is Cedar Grove High School.
All right. And while you are being a leader, do you have any leadership models? For example, relational leadership model?
I think my model would be relationship leadership. I do believe that you have to build relationships with all stakeholders. That's teachers, students, parents, people that you try to get to partner with the school. So treating people right, respect. Our district has come up with a new H-Pride model, humanization, professionalism, and so I won't go through all of them, but just, daily building those relationships, especially in the school system and coming out of COVID with our students, building those relationships. You never know what our students are dealing with on a day-to-day basis, and having that relationship with them where they feel comfortable and having a conversation with the principal about some of the things that they're dealing with. I have one that I'm working with now who just says she wants to be a kid. She's never been a kid, or she feels like she's never lived a kid's life because she have younger siblings and she has to be there to raise them.
Okay. So you use those theories working with your teachers, your stakeholders, the children, and students.
Yes.
All
yes.
right. What are some experiences that have shaped you as a leader?
I think when I was in the restaurant building, just trying to make sure the customers were happy when they left. So having that experience, I take that into the school system with me as well. So I always tell parents, make sure that they see me and have a conversation with me before they go out of the building to solve a problem. And so I try to make sure that I solve any problems that I can and make sure I leave the customer happy. So when the parents leave the conversation, when we have that conversation, they're happy. So all my parents, if they come to any meetings or open houses, any of that stuff, should have my phone number because I give my phone number out to everybody.
All right. So you basically, from working in the restaurant business, like you said, making sure the customer is happy, you carried that on into you being a principal.
Yes.
All right. I like that. How did you discover your purpose in your own life?
I think just as living life and life happens, you kind of develop what your purpose is. And I just, I feel that at this stage in my life right now, my purpose is, the student and just having that relationship with them and being able to help them grow, be able to speak about some situations that in my own life and my kids' life, and using those things that we've gone through to help students to understand that they can still make it and then they can still be successful.
All right. Okay. And what would you say your leadership style is?
It would be relationships, I just pattern everything off of building relationships, building relationships with coworkers, building relationships with my students, building relationship with the staff, building relationships with their families. So that's why they see me at all the activities. They see me at games. They see me at concerts, so that they know that I care.
Okay. So relationship style of leadership. Did you embrace leadership in the beginning? And if you didn't, did you seek it because it was a conviction you had inside?
I don't know if I would say yes, I did embrace it in the beginning. I mean, once I got into it and knew that this was something that I wanted to do, definitely embraced it, definitely enjoy what I do. Get to see students every day, get to see them smile, get to listen to them. And almost, I think about, I've been in the business for a while, so, some of them become almost like a family. They call me pops or dad or whatever because you build those relationships with them. And so, I would say I've embraced it from the beginning and, I love it.
Okay. Can you give an example of how you learned an obstacle or learned from an obstacle or a challenge you faced?
I think just, even though you try to build relationships, you still have those, you're always going to have some difficult parents. And I just think that being aware of the situation or the people that you're dealing with, and really realizing that we're all going through some things. So taking self out of the situation, not making it personal, but stay professional, and then just deal with the situation. I mean, I think there's obstacles every day in the school system. Some are challenging, some are less challenging. You got parents who, no matter what you do, they still feel that you didn't do enough for them or their child. And so you have to put yourself in their place as a parent. You always want the best for your child. And so I always try to look at it that way, that, what would I do in this situation if it was my child?
Okay. And as a leader, what difference do you feel like you've made in your students and stakeholders' lives?
I just think, my students and my stakeholders know that I'm big on students, those relationships with those students. So, I think back 20 years ago, and I still have students that contact me. Had a young lady contact me about a month ago, wanted to know what my quote was from when I coached girls basketball. So knowing that you left that impression on a student makes me happy that they actually listen. And even though it might not have felt like they was listening at the time, but they remember the quote, and they couldn't remember the whole quote, but they knew how to reach out to me to get that quote, and knew that quote made a positive impact on them.
All right. And what about stakeholders? So what about teachers? Are there any teachers or faculty and staff that have reached back out to you and letting you know certain things?
Yes, I actually have a teacher who, she's an assistant principal now. She was a teacher when I first met her, and I was an assistant principal. And she was one of those individuals that I pushed on about moving up into leadership. And so I'm proud to say now that she is assistant principal, and she's back in the school working on her EDS or her doctorate, and I'm her mentoring administrator. So she comes and spend a couple of days with me during the week and follow me. So that's positive there. And I've actually promoted several principal. I've had a principal promoted from under me, an AP promoted from under me, academic coach promoted from under me, lead teacher for special education. So I just feel good about me being able to work with other individuals and see something in them and push them to where they can go.
That's awesome. What are some positive and negative lessons the audience can learn from your life and your leadership experience?
Well, I have to say, I've been on TV a couple times, and they were not positive, but just learning from, not realizing that a parent would be recording me. I never thought about stuff like that. So just being more cognizant of the atmosphere, the area. I did have a parent who went on television and talked about me and about how bad a job I was doing, but she actually came back and apologized probably about a year later, and really blamed, she knew that it was her child. And so I was glad to see that. Unfortunately, the son did not graduate from my school, but the daughter did. And so, in the end, she and I became, I wouldn't say friends, but we was actually able to, she was able to squash her beef that she had with me. And she made amends to, knowing that it was not me and my leadership, but it was actually her son the whole time.
Wow. And I bet you've dealt with that on a lot of different occasions, dealing with the school system. And that's really good that she was able to realize that it wasn't you, and hopefully her child can grow. How do you view leadership and how has it changed over time?
Well, I just view leadership as, someone I'm a person who's a manager. I call myself a manager, or, in the sense of if a sporting scenes, I call myself the head coach. And then I have assistant coaches, which would be my assistant principals. And then we have other coaches, which would be our teachers and our our kids are our players. And so just trying to, don't micromanage. I tell people, all the time, people are paid to do a job. So my expectation is that, people come in, they do their jobs. And so I think I've gotten that point across to most of my staff. They realize that. And so, time has changed in education. I feel that, you have teachers that are coming in now who have not been through any type of prep program or did not do student teaching, especially with our special education teachers. We're sending teachers through TAP programs. And so with the higher needs and so forth now, it's hard. The values are different, and teachers don't teach like they did 20 years ago, or they don't see education the same way as they did 20 years ago. So trying to wrap your arms around and support those teachers, especially most of them are young teachers, to try to stay in the field.
Now that's definitely deep, and I would agree with that. So with those type of teachers and with the 20 and 30 year teachers, how do you communicate with them, your other stakeholders, and your students?
Well, of course, with my teachers in the building, I use email. We have our own YouTube channel, so we run our announcements in the morning through the YouTube channel, and not stand in the office and read out announcements. For stakeholders, students, we have an Instagram page, the principal's Instagram page. A lot of information goes out on that Instagram page. We have our school website. We use what we call school messenger. So we're able to send out messages through school messenger. But those are the main ones: the Instagram, school messenger,
and email.
Website. I have 4,500 followers on Instagram. So, and we don't have 4,500 kids. So that's kids, that's the parents, that's alumni. So we try to make sure that we talk about the positive things on that page, and so that gives those who the alumni and everybody that positive feel about what's going on at Cedar Grove.
All right, and this is our last question for Mr. Clifton Spears. How do you achieve students and stakeholders working harmoniously together toward a common purpose?
I think it starts with the leader. I mean, the leader has to be that person who they can look to and see that, okay, he's able to work with students, he's able to work with parents, he's able to work with his teachers, he works with the district. And so when they see the leader, they see the leaders in the building. So me being able to work with my APs and my teachers, building relationships in the neighborhood with stakeholders and family members. When they see all that, I think that's when they have a better view of what's going on, and just really being able to work together.
All righty. Well, that was our last question. We're going to go ahead and wrap it up. Thank you for sitting down with me and talking about relational leadership.
All right. Thank you.